to the Turn On Your Inner Light show. It's time to stop just surviving, and it's time to begin to thrive. It's time to live happier and healthier. Turn stress into strength. Noted author Debbie Mandel will show you how to move beyond personal doubts and fears and into positive perception to turn on your inner light. Here's your host, Debbie Mandel.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to my show. Our guest expert is Mark Liponis, MD, the corporate medical director at Canyon Ranch Health Resorts and a practicing physician for over 20 years in preventive and integrative medicine. He is the author of his most recent book, Hunter-Farmer Diet Solution. If you feel frustrated about weight loss, learn about the right diet for the right person. Greetings, Mark.
Hi, Debbie.
Now, how'd you come up with these categories? I feel like I'm in a fairy tale.
Well, there's two different types of people. There's the hunter type and there's the farmer type. And they're actually very different when you look at their body shape, when you look at their blood results, and they really need to eat differently, too. The hunter type is the type that tends to put on weight more around the middle of the body. They have more what we call visceral fat. And they're the type that are headed more towards diabetes and cardiovascular disease. And then you've got the other type, the farmer type, that actually puts on more weight under the skin and around the hips and thighs. And they actually have less cardiovascular disease and less diabetes, so they need a different diet.
Actually, I found it very fascinating because I took a quick inventory of the hunters that I know and the farmers, and you were right on the mark. I mean, I even took myself, being a narcissistic radio show host, I said, well, I'm more on the farmer type, and I think you got it down to the point of the hunger and the insulin levels and how sugar drops, and I really want to touch on that. But how did you come up with these names? I mean, as opposed to saying, well, you should lean to protein and healthy fats, and you're more of a complex carb person. How'd you get those categories?
Well, I think when people think hunter versus farmer, they're thinking, carnivore versus vegetarian, but that's really not the story. The idea behind the hunter is that they could eat anything that a hunter-gatherer could get. So in other words, they might find some nuts or pick some berries, or they might catch a fish. So there's a lot of things that a hunter could forage or catch. But one thing, of course, a hunter couldn't go hunt would be, let's say, a loaf of bread or maybe some pasta, because the grains, you can't hunt. You have to cultivate those. So the idea of the hunter is really that they could eat anything that they could forage or catch, but of course not anything that they would have to grow. Like, for example, the grains. The grains have to be cultivated. Those are really for the farmers. And the reason that the hunters shouldn't eat so many grains, grains are turned into sugar. And the hunter already has a high blood sugar. They're tending towards diabetes. They need less grain. Now, the farmer, we think about anything that they could grow. And, of course, the thing that you can't grow really very well in a garden would be fat. And that's because the hunter is intolerant of fat. They can't process it. Their body can't handle the fat. So the two different types, the hunter type is really about eating less grain and as you know, less carbohydrate. And the farmer type about eating less fat. And that's the big difference.
Okay, I can see that, but what about calories? Even in taking a quick scan of people that I know that are hunters, I can tell you that they overeat. Yeah. So isn't it just calories in, calories out, or is that
sure.
no longer true?
No, calories is very true, and it's very important, and the only way to really lose weight is to eat fewer calories. The question is, what are we going to eat less of? Are we going to just eat less of everything, or are we going to eat less of something? And I think the answer is we should eat less of something, but that's based on whether you're the hunter type or the farmer type. The hunters should be eating less grain and less carbohydrate. The farmers, less fat.
So in that way, I wouldn't feel deprived because sustaining a weight loss is really key. And at some point, don't you think if we eat too few calories that our metabolism just shuts down, I'm on fasting mode, and then I'm going to gain weight anyway?
Well, if you do go into starvation mode, you're right, your body will slow down its metabolism. But, I don't agree with the idea that for people to lose weight, they have to eat more. That's really not true. For people to lose weight, they really do have to eat less, fewer calories. And again, you need to know what to eat less of, and what to eat less of depends on which type you are. Are you the pre-diabetic hunter type who's headed for heart disease and needs to eat less grain and less carbs, or are you the farmer type that needs to eat less fat?
And when I think of both categories, I think of exercise. I think we've lost that movement that matters. And so the hunters have to walk all day, and farmers, goodness knows, don't they get up with the sun?
Well, sure. The historical hunters and farmers didn't have a problem with their weight because they were so active. They were outdoors and really moving all day. And, now that you mention it, it's actually something that we should aspire to. We should strive to achieve, because most people, I think, get this idea that exercise is something that they do at the gym for an hour a day. And that's great, but unfortunately that's not enough if you're trying to help lose weight. You need to just be more active in your regular life, and that's as if you were a farmer or as if you were a hunter. You'd be moving all the time, and I just think we spend too much time sitting down.
I've also read research studies that just because you work out for an hour at the gym, and if you sit all day, you're not going to be healthy. Maybe you'll look okay if you're watching your calories, but we were designed to move. And you know what I find? A lot of women are averse to housework, and they hire people if they can. I think that's a disservice, don't you? I think if we could find
if they use that time to go outside and exercise or go to the gym or dance class, that would be fine. But you're right. If it just means they're going to be sitting in front of the TV or the computer, that's not the best idea.
Yeah, I see housework as a way to move. And if I execute my housework with minding my muscles, then I can really use it as an opportunity for exercise.
Yeah, anything that makes us get up and move during the day is all in our favor. And, interesting, and in the book, Hunter-Farmer Diet Solution, we talk about how exercise affects the hunter differently from the farmer. And there's probably some differences in terms of the timing, and that is the hunter type. It's really best to do a little bit of exercise after eating, because that helps bring down the blood sugar. I use it like medicine. So, if a hunter type eats a meal, we have them go for a walk for 10 minutes afterwards, and that helps bring down the blood sugar again.
That's a wonderful point, because some people can't really control their blood sugars, even with insulin.
Right. So, exercise really helps.
Yeah, so, and I had read that, this was concerning the big Thanksgiving meal, that if you take a significant walk, let's say 45 minutes to an hour, you might not even clog your arteries. You might.
Sure. And that's a big meal with Thanksgiving. It could work for even smaller meals.
Sure, we'll just prorate it. Well, we're going to go to commercial break, and we will return with Dr. Mark Liponis, author of the Hunter-Farmer Diet Solution.
Now you can take Debbie Mandel home with you. Her book, Turn On Your Inner Light, Fitness for Body, Mind, and Soul, will help you decompress with healthy, positive, concrete solutions. Common life challenges are presented so that you can quickly find the help you need. Emotional tips, original meditations, and a fun and easy-to-follow fitness workout for each mindset. This revolutionary new method will help you rewire mind and body to take back your power. Get it on Amazon.
Are you overwhelmed with the burden of taking care of children, parents, or both? Are you taking care of everyone else except yourself? It's time to change your habits and re-energize. Debbie Mandel gives you an innovative and easy-to-follow program for good health and happiness. In her magical new book, Changing Habits, The Caregiver's Total Workout, Debbie Mandel shows you step-by-step how to find the optimal balance between giving and receiving, and guides you to exercise and eat right to take care of yourself. What are you waiting for? Read Changing Habits and start training for your life. Life does not need to be a burden. Get Changing Habits, The Caregiver's Total Workout on Amazon.
You're listening to the Turn On Your Inner Light show. I'm your host, Debbie Mandel, and I'm speaking with Dr. Mark Liponis, the medical director at Canyon Ranch Health Resorts and the author of hunter-farmer diet solution. You know, Mark, I want to confess to you, not just because you're a physician, but when I picked up the book, and I love your work and all your helpful ideas about longevity, who doesn't want to live a long, healthy life, but I said, oh no, another diet book, and this obesity epidemic is out of control. But when I read it, boy, it was a page turner, because you took the humiliation out of dieting. Oh, here's a hunter, here's a farmer, we're just, hey-ho, these kind of people, it's evolutionary, and let's find the right diet for you, which is the kind of things you might want to eat and others omit, so that you really don't get frustrated and you see the pounds come off. So
and it helps control hunger and those cravings. And, you know, when somebody gains weight, it's not all their fault. They just haven't been given the right information. And, you know, the reason why I wrote the book, I was like you. I didn't want to write a diet book, really, to tell you the truth. But the problem is only half the story was being told, and that was people were telling to be on just one diet, when really there's two types of people, and they need two different diets.
Now, is being a hunter or a farmer a genetic predisposition, or does stress and environment change our metabolism?
You know, that is a great question, because the genes have a lot to do with it. In other words, two hunter parents are likely to have hunter children, and vice versa. But there is some programming that can happen as a result, and you mentioned stress. Yes, stress can program us, and it programs us toward the hunter type. And we see this actually in stressed out babies. You know, when a baby is growing inside their mother and they're under stress for whatever reason, they're actually programmed in the uterus to be a hunter as an adult. So those babies, and one way that we know that is if they're small. So small babies, less than 7 pounds, seem to be a little more prone to becoming sort of the diabetic adult later in life. It's very interesting.
Yes, it is. And it's one more thing a mother can feel guilty about.
Well, it's not the mom's fault.
Oh, no, I provided that. Why was I stressed? Oh, it's always, I get called on the carpet all the time. But that's very interesting. Now, let me ask you this also. How did you get everything like down the profile of, because I was looking at the farmer, and you said, oh, farmers tend to eat too quickly, and if they're eating out, they eat the bread because they're ravenous, and then they're done, and that they stop dead in their tracks if they're not eating regularly. They're obsessed with food, so they're always carrying food around. I mean, how did you know?
Well, I mean, a combination of 20 years of experience doing this, and, you know, a lot of research that's gone into this, really, and there was one actually pretty good study called the A to Z weight loss study, and they studied, you know, different diets and how different people did, and it turned out even within a certain diet there was huge variation in the success that people had. And what we learned from that was, you know, the idea of eating to lose weight, we really need to eat right, you know, for our type, and that's so very important.
And do you believe in superfoods? I mean, they had a study out just today about berries. It's all the rage. I mean, I keep hearing these superfoods.
Well, I'm a big believer in berries, and I saw the study today, and that was when women, and this is a study of 60,000 women, when they ate more berries, it delayed the onset of memory loss by 2.5 years. That's pretty good for berries, you know? And we love them besides, so, you know, that's really great. So, yeah, I do believe in superfoods. And you know what's interesting? Berries are one of the superfoods that are good for either the hunter or for the farmer. Because if a food is both low in fat and low in carbohydrate, it could work great for either type. So I think there are some superfoods, berries being, you know, one of them. Another one would be beans. To me, the beans are another superfood because they're low in fat, they're low in carbohydrate, you can eat a lot of them, and they're high in fiber, so they've got good nutrients. You know, lean protein sources, things like fish, eggs, are excellent sources for both the farmers and the hunters because they're low in carbohydrate and low in fat.
I was delighted about the eggs because so many people shy away from eggs because of cholesterol, even if they're natural producers, which hunters would be, correct? I mean, they would have high cholesterol.
Sure, but the eggs really aren't a problem. It's hard to raise your cholesterol, just by eating eggs because, we've got cholesterol in every cell of our body. In fact, it's a necessary compound for life. We can't live without it. We just don't want to get too much in our bloodstream. And eggs don't really contribute that much. It's hard to really raise your cholesterol much by eating eggs. So I really think that it's fine to eat eggs. And in fact, the whole eggs. And as you know, there are healthier eggs, like the omega eggs that are rich in omega-3s.
So do you think we should get foods that kind of do double time? Like if I get orange juice, should it be calcium enriched or should I just let it be vitamin C?
Yeah, it could just be orange juice, or, obviously the best is fresh squeezing your own orange juice. That's the healthiest choice right there, but you can still get regular organic or regular orange juice. It's fine. I think it's great.
So this is really something that can keep us stable. Now, how does dark chocolate fit into the equation? I don't think I got you, Mark. I suckered you into this. You don't hunt for it and you don't grow it.
Believe me, I'm a big fan of dark chocolate. And, as long as it's not the sweetened, milk chocolate, the dark chocolate is fine because it's really not high in sugar. It's not high in fat. It's not that sweet, as you know, but boy, it makes you feel good. So I think that's one of the safer choices.
So how do I hunt for that?
Yeah, you got to hunt in the right place for that. But, as you know, you go find a cocoa tree and you got to do.
In another country.
Yeah, I know.
But so there are certain foods that you feel work very well for both sides. Would the Mediterranean diet be something a hunter or a farmer could use and not worry about?
A Mediterranean diet is sort of a good, down the middle compromise because as long as you're mindful of portions and not getting too much, the Mediterranean diet could work well for both sides. But as you probably know, some people, it's not the best fit for them. Mm-hmm. I'll give you an example.
Let's just hold that. I don't want to rush it. We'll go to commercial break, and we will return with Dr. Mark Liponis, author of The Hunter-Farmer Diet Solution. Dear listeners, I'm excited to tell you about my new book, Addicted to Stress. This is the message you need to hear. Are you addicted to stress? Do you do it all while everyone depends on you? Where's all this pressure coming from? It is coming from inside you. This is why my publisher, John Wiley, asked me to write Addicted to Stress, a woman's 7-step program to reclaim joy and spontaneity in life. This fun-to-read book teaches proven strategies to reclaim your life, silence your inner critic, build a healthy body, and reframe your thoughts to change your life for the better. Dare to be happy without the guilt. Addicted to Stress is easy to get. It's available at Barnes & Noble and other fine bookstores everywhere. You can also buy it at Amazon and other online retailers. We're back with Dr. Mark Liponis, author of The Hunter-Farmer Diet Solution. Okay, so what was your take on the Mediterranean diet?
It's a great compromise diet, but it doesn't work best for everybody. For example, I had a gentleman in my office who was a diabetic, but he had actually cured his own diabetes by eliminating grains from his diet. And it was so effective, he didn't need to be on medication, which was just fascinating. Just through diet alone, he was able to, make his blood sugar normal, all his numbers, his A1C, etc. So when you really do eat right, it's amazing how much improvement somebody can get.
And I would, again, I'm only a layperson, I would add exercise as an important component for diabetics.
To stay healthy, of course.
Especially, for me, I've kept my weight pretty much the same for the past 25, 30 years.
Good for you. What's your secret?
Well, I don't diet. I believe in being fit and healthy. So I gravitate to quality food. I believe in exactly what you say. I don't like processed food. I like fruits and veg. I eat all day. I don't count calories, and I exercise. I believe in strength training and cardio and stretching, and that gets me, and I do my own housework.
Fantastic. It sounds like you're doing everything right.
And I garden. I'm an advocate. That makes me a real farmer, by the way.
You're an actual farmer.
I am an actual farmer, but my mother, who grew up on a farm, had a hunter body. So it's very interesting about, the twists and turns. But I think the secret is maybe instead of looking at weight loss, I want to be substantial. Mark, I don't want to be remembered for how thin I was.
Right.
And I think in reading this book and finding the individual type that we are, it takes away guilt. It gives me empowerment. I can solve it. So now I understand why I'm obsessed with food, why I need to eat all day, and how my mind literally stops working if I'm not eating.
Sure. Well, yeah, and it's also about feeling good, and it's about being healthy. Those are really the takeaways, and that is we want to eat right so that we can be healthy and feel good.
Now, what are the diseases, before our segment together closes, that a hunter has? I know you touched on it, and a farmer.
Yeah, they do end up with different conditions. The hunter, much more towards, let's say, diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, and even stroke. Now, the farmers are protected. They are much less prone towards heart disease. So they're actually, since they're living a little longer, and something's got to get you, they're a little more statistically prone to cancer.
And Alzheimer's.
And a little Alzheimer's.
I studied your book.
Thank you. You did a good job.
So, we have other things to look at. I was so smug. I said, stroke, cardio, not for me.
Well, look, you got to get something, right?
Yeah, something's got to kill you, yep. as our physicians tend to remind us. But I think, like you said, it's the life quality. We all come in the middle of the movie. We leave in the middle of the movie. What kind of movie do you want to have?
That's right.
And I've seen what you have written about in looking at a random sample. I could see how that works. And and if people read this book, find their type, and follow it, I think there are people that have been stuck for so many years, yo-yoing or frustrated or feeling down, spiraling down.
Well, as somebody told me who read my book, and they wrote me, and they said, your book was liberating. It really verified all the things that I learned myself through trial and error, but I was really nervous about doing on my own. So in many ways, it really, I think, supports people's experience with eating and with weight loss.
That's very well said, because I think so. Having the medical validation, and you explain it. You explain about the insulin levels or insulin resistance. So when I identified my type, I understood it. And having the medical science behind it can nudge you forward, or saying, I really should be on this and do this. So I really want to tell you kudos to you for finding this. And this was so different than like the blood type diet or the other, or the KE diet. Oh my God, how frightening is that? What the myths we will...
It's amazing what people will do.
Yes, when they're desperate. Now, do you have a site where we could learn more about you?
Yeah, in fact, you can go to the website hunterfarmer.com. And actually, there's a quiz there. You can take an 18-question quiz, and it'll help you decide, which type you are, and that might help you, again, with eating better and with weight loss.
Well, I think people should get the book, and you had great recipes there. I don't cook much. I grow food. Remember, I'm the farmer.
That's good for you.
Well, be well. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Debbie. It's great being with you.
Affirmation of the week. The person who gets stuck on petty happiness will not attain great happiness. So... be more motivated. A California dairy cow tested positive for mad cow disease. Agriculture officials said there was no immediate threat to the food supply. Let us pray. Studies by researchers at Dominican University of California show that breast cancer cells become increasingly aggressive the longer they are exposed to small concentrations of cadmium. This is a heavy metal that's commonly found in cosmetics, food, water, and air particles. I wouldn't even know how someone would avoid it. Commonly prescribed antidepressants appear to be doing patients more harm than good, say researchers from McMaster University. And I don't think they mean people who are clinically depressed, but maybe if we're more casual about taking antidepressants, they feel they have negative health effects on all processes normally regulated by serotonin. The findings include these elevated risks: developmental problems in infants, problems with sexual stimulation and function and sperm development in adults, digestive problems such as diarrhea, constipation, indigestion, and bloating, abnormal bleeding, and stroke in the elderly. So antidepressants are not to be taken lightly and likely. You should really check this out with your doctor. A new study from the Georgia Institute of Technology shows that having a more positive motivational outlook had a beneficial effect on job pursuit, especially at the outset of the search. However, the most important influence on maintaining one's job search activities and increasing the likelihood of landing employment was the person's ability to stay energized and keep negative emotions under control over time. So here is a high nod to being positive in your job search, and it will come. And teenagers are showing up in emergency rooms with alcohol poisoning after drinking inexpensive liquid hand sanitizers. Some of them use salt to separate the alcohol from the sanitizer, and the instructions are on the internet. Watch your kids and be careful about this. So far, only a few cases, but it could be a dangerous trend. Well, we come to the close of another show. I have an educational website, turnonyourinnerlight.com, on stress management, totally free. Subscribe to my free newsletter from turnonyourinnerlight.com, and you'll get the latest radio shows with the guest experts emailed directly to you, takes you from my site right into YouTube. You will also get a fresh new article on stress management and all the health tips fully delineated, and you can read them